Hello everyone, it's NoVanityBran from the CABAL here, and I'm back with another edition of Foxhole War Stories. The previous war on Abel Shard, War 121, was a pretty quick loss for the Colonials. It only lasted about 22 days in total, and honestly, a big reason for that was naval dominance. The Warden Navy pretty much ran the show, pulling off not one, but two successful TAP operations on key colonial logistics towns through naval landings. And speaking from experience, that kind of coordination was brutal to fight against. But this has been a pretty common problem for colonials for several wars now. Wardens seem to put a far bigger emphasis on naval combat than colonials, which ultimately puts our faction at a disadvantage. Now, that's not to say that the Colonial Navy hasn't put up a fight. There were solid efforts during War 121, especially in places like Akrithia, where air was sinking Warden ships left and right, and Spades was leading the effort to increase coordination within the Colonial Navy. But at the end of the day, we just didn't have the manpower to match the Warden fleet, and as a wise man once said, "See a need, fill a need." So this war, CABAL decided, why not us? This is our story. Now, we don't have much experience with naval warfare. In fact, we barely knew what we were doing when we started. But we figured someone has to step up, and we were willing to give it our best shot. We kicked off War 122 by setting up defenses at Desolation Beach in Stemma Landing. Our plan? Build 2 concrete bunker bases with howitzer traps to stop any potential Warden landings. We took some helpful advice from veteran island builders, and we managed to construct our very first island bunker base. And let me tell you, it was a completely different experience compared to building on the mainland. We got our core defenses concreted pretty fast, but there was one small problem: gunboats. Gunboats were unlocked very early in the war this time around, and we quickly found out just how annoying Warden gunboats could be. On at least 2 occasions, they showed up, took advantage of our wet concrete, and blasted apart some of our garrisons. So yeah, we had to do some rebuilding. But it was a pretty smooth start, all things considered. After getting really fed up with being harassed by Warden gunboats, we decided it was time to hit back. So we grabbed a barge, and we set sail for the Idolo seaport in Fisherman's Row. Lucky for us, the seaport didn't have an operational coastal gun yet, so we saw an opportunity. When we arrived to the seaport, we spotted a Warden gunboat docked and rearming, completely unaware of what was about to happen. We wasted no time. We swooped in behind it, we let loose a barrage of sticky grenades, and just like that, boom! Our first gunboat kill of the war. Once we managed to build a few gunboats of our own, we got to work. We started patrolling the seas, hunting down Warden gunboats, and taking out any defenses wherever we could. In our first gunboat mission of the war, 3 CABAL-operated gunboats teamed up with 2 from Locks. Our target was Fisherman's Row. As we moved in, we spotted 2 Warden gunboats leaving the Idolo seaport, prime targets. Without hesitation, all 5 of our gunboats surged forward and ambushed them. When the fight kicked off, we realized there were 3 more Warden gunboats lurking on the other side of the seaport, but we stuck to the plan. If we could wipe out the first 2 quickly, we had a shot at wiping out the entire fleet. But since Warden gunboats are way faster than Colonial gunboats, we had to play this just right. We managed to trap the first 2 gunboats in the seaport, which forced the other 3 to rush in to defend. The first 2 went down fast, and as reinforcements arrived, one of them sailed directly into the line of fire of our 30mm guns. And since Colonial gunboats are most effective when the enemy is on their side, this was a big mistake. We quickly took out the 3rd gunboat, and that left 2 Warden gunboats remaining. These last 2 Warden gunboats did put up a fight though. They managed to disable the engines on 2 of our gunboats, putting us in a pretty tough spot. But then, our Locks allies came through, finishing off the last enemy ships. At the end of this engagement, all of our gunboats survived the fight. Riding on the high from our success, we regrouped and we set our sights on the Isle of Psyche and Tempest Island. Colonial forces there were under siege and defending against a Warden naval invasion, and they were defending against 4 Warden gunboats that were bombarding the relic base at Isle of Psyche. Once again, we teamed up with Locks and went in for the kill.
Australia, you got him?
We split up to cut off their escape. 2 gunboats went west, 3 went east. The western team took down 2 enemies pretty quickly, while the eastern team destroyed 1 and heavily damaged another before being decrewed. But then things got a little chaotic. One of our ships ran aground and got stuck, another got taken out, and a 5th Warden gunboat rushed in as backup. Despite the losses though, the Locks chased down the last enemy and sank it off screen. The final tally? Wardens lost 5 gunboats, we lost 2. This outing was our biggest success of the war so far, but we had other successes. On several occasions, we had killed concrete bunker cores and garrisons on bunker bases between Arcadia and Idolo, but we aren't just here to build gunboats. We have bigger ambitions. a destroyer. This is something we've never attempted before, and we know that we'd be facing superior manpower and experience from the Warden naval regiments, but we wanted to try anyway. To build a destroyer, we needed 1,200 rare metals, a resource that only occasionally drops from salvage fields. That would take dozens of hours for just one person, so we turned it into a regiment-wide event. About a dozen CABAL members split into teams, hopping between salvage fields and searching for rare metals, without dropping the salvage on the ground, of course. That would be treason. And to make the grind a bit more bearable, we turned it into a Spider-Man watch party.
With great power comes great responsibility.
3 hours and one Spider-Man movie later, we had farmed 800 rare metals. After a couple more farming sessions, we had hit our goal. The only problem was, we didn't have our own dry dock. So, luckily, WLL and Cronus Winter came through, letting us use theirs and even offering free repairs. Huge thanks to them for that. And with that, CABAL officially built its first ever destroyer. With zero destroyer experience but a whole lot of ambition, we took the CNS Desolation out for its maiden voyage. With 3 gunboat escorts from LOX, OBS, and VF, we set sail for Stemma Landing. But before we even got there, we got word a friendly destroyer was under attack by a Warden frigate, and there was a submarine lurking nearby. We pushed full speed ahead to try and help, but we were just too late. Unfortunately, the friendly destroyer was sunk. So we decided to go for the next best thing, revenge. This was our first destroyer fight ever. No practice, no warm-up, just straight into battle against a Warden frigate.
Keep firing. Good hits, good hits, good hits. Good hits, good hits.
Need loaders.
I need loaders in the back. We landed some solid hits, but then our sonar operator spotted something terrifying. A second Warden frigate flanking us from behind. Suddenly, we were outnumbered, outgunned, and in serious trouble. Our only option? Run. Our driver and engine operator scrambled to get us out of there. The crew panicked. We thought we were dead for sure. If the Wardens chased us down, that would be the end of the Desolation, after barely 10 minutes of service. Our driver made a snap decision. Head for the bottom right corner of the region and cross into Origin. But there was a problem. Large ships have to wait 1 full minute before crossing regions, meaning we'd be sitting ducks if the Wardens pushed us, so it was a risky move. We somehow managed to make it into Origin, but just as we thought we were safe, the Warden frigate that we encountered previously was waiting at the bridge that we needed to cross. This time, the fight went noticeably better. We had calmed down, we started learning a little bit about the destroyer mechanics, and we got our act together. As we tried to maneuver through the bridges, we landed some pretty impressive indirect fire shots for a very inexperienced crew, but the frigate kept chasing us, desperate for the kill. As it closed in, chasing behind us, I lined up 2 direct shots, and I missed both of them. Yeah. Not my proudest moment. Our first destroyer taught us a lot, mainly that using big ships is tough and requires way more coordination than we expected. But the important part, we survived, and we're not stopping now. We plan to use our destroyer almost daily until the war ends, or until it inevitably meets its watery grave. If we make some big plays, who knows, maybe it'll end up right here on this channel. This has been our first war as a naval regiment, and it's been an absolute blast. We've had a lot of fun, and we can't wait to look back on this video in the future to see just how much we've improved, and maybe cringe at some of the things that we did wrong. So thanks for coming along on this journey with us. Like and subscribe for more Foxhole war stories, and we'll see you next time.
Full distance. Alright, hold fire.
Okay, do we leave? Go leave?
Keep going, keep going.
Yeah.